Welcome back to this episode of Steel River Deep Dive. We have a full packed schedule today, and I don't want to hold the treats for you, but I think you're gonna enjoy this. I'm gonna bring to the stage an important person to me. Like he's doing some great things in the world of AI. And honestly, when I was impacted at my last role at one of these big companies, Sam was the person who pushed me. He's like, "Hey, D, you can look at this. Check this out. Try this with AI." So he was actually sharpening me, when I didn't know I needed sharpening. So now I take pleasure in bringing this gentleman to the stage because iron sharpens iron, and this guy is really a sharp iron. So I'll bring to the stage Sam. Welcome, Sam. Hold
Hey,
on,
what's up, brother? How are you?
I'm good. You know what? Hold on, I meant to do this. I had to give for our virtual studio audience, but yeah. So I got Sam here. We're gonna do the what we normally do here on this Steel River
Yeah.
deep dive, unnamed episode. But before we go into the latest news, Sam, tell us a little bit about you, man.
Hey, yeah, I've been interestingly enough, my first time using a computer was back in 85 in grade school. And that kicked off my interest in this area. But yeah, around I would say December 2023 was the first time that I actually started really using AI outside the context of fancy autocomplete, right? And I really didn't understand it till I got let go from my last job May 2024, and I devoted all my time to like really understanding how this thing works. Because if you're not in the middle of the hype, you're a skeptical person by nature, you're like, what's all this noise about? And I ended up learning so much and became a fervent believer in what it had to offer. And I like to say that after becoming a believer, I'm not going back to assembly. This is it for me.
So let me ask you this: for those skeptics out there, because I was a skeptic too. Like, what was that moment for you that was like, all right, what made it click for you?
Ooh, I think for me it was seeing that, based on my experience working with a lot of QA people, where they actually had to like generate realistic looking data, right? And seeing how easy and trivial it was for these large language models to do so. Um, it really got me thinking like, okay, there's something there, right? But I was all in when I was able to leverage it to like build out smaller tools that scratched a particular itch. One of them was a Trello like dashboard for um, giving tasks to large language models, simple drag and drop interface and whatnot. And it being able to get me 80% of the way was an eye opening moment.
Nice. You know, to your point, I was like you, where it's like, all right, I could see it autocomplete. You mentioned that earlier. I was using autocomplete. I'm like, it is what it is. And I was tinkering with the tools. But the what changed me was when you and I were working on a project
Hmm.
and we were using specs, and I was churning on the problem. I was using the tools, but I was churning on the problem. You were like, "Hey, AD, you have the spec," and and I was able to take that, what you said, tear down whatever I was doing, improve the spec with the model and build it, and it worked. I'm like, oh my, oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
because I'm used to, as an engineer, like, all right, I'm gonna fix it. If I'm gonna stay up I'll stay up all night to fix this bug. I'm gonna fix this damn bug.
Yeah.
Log statements, I'm logging out the wazoo. And it wasn't until that was the moment I was like, oh, this is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being able to like blow away work and just being like, all right, start afresh.
That was mind blowing.
Yeah.
Mind blowing.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you've been in the game for a while, and it's hard to throw away work that you've invested so many hours in. And having those specs there, it's sort of like a living documentation that you can augment to see, like, does it get you closer to what you ultimately want, right?
Mhm.
And as you're updating it, modifying it while you're like messing around with the code, uh, you could blow away the code and be like, all right, Claude, go to town.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So in great, man, Sam, I just want to let everybody know he's a great engineer. So in news, I'm going to pivot to some news, and then we'll dive into, for the folks listening, we're gonna dive into some actual work that Sam is doing. He's going to demo a product, and we're going to talk more. But in relevant news, Nvidia has been doing a number of things over the last few months.
Yeah.
One, they purchased some components from Grok, but they announced at CES this week that they promised 5 times faster inference. So right now, Nvidia has been driving or leading the way in regards to, like, the training aspects of of their GPUs, right? But now they're digging in. They purchased Grok so they can get more effective with inference. So on the training side, it's more where the models were, right? Now all the operations are around inference, and that's where all the models are. They're doing their magic, right? All the logic in regards to the models. So the users of AI are using more inference. So Nvidia is just effectively putting more chips on the table, so to speak. Oh wow! So they're going in on the inference, which I think is a smart play, given their bet on AI. What do you think about that? I know you haven't really dove into it, but what are you hearing from something like that?
Well, I actually used Grok before Nvidia purchased them.
Okay.
Right. They were on my radar. And the reason why they were on my radar was the high tokens per second they were able to generate for, using a variety of open source models, from, Llama 3.2 to like GPT OS 120B, right? And when I say high, I'm talking about like, hundreds to 2,000 tokens per second, depending on the reasoning model and whatnot. I mean, I think it's time that side of the business receive the resources necessary to satiate consumer demand for these sorts of large language models that are just getting better, especially the Chinese large language models like Minimax and GLM and so forth and so on, and even DeepSeek.
Yeah, DeepSeek, man. You mentioned that they claim that they have a model. They released a model that's just as performant as O1 and 90% less cost. Right? They just released that this month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It says 90% or more, less expensive to run. So couple that, that thinking process with what Nvidia is doing with the chips. I mean, this is the year, in my opinion, of the ROI on AI, like the prove it moment. That's hinting at that.
Yeah. I think the hype around the promise of AI is bumping into the, okay, this is we're past the point of it being a fancy toy. Like let's really get into the meats and potato of what this thing really has to offer. And I think it's time. And I actually think, to that is impacting. And here's the bright side of all of this, right? Is that a lot of companies that have been on the sidelines with regards to not necessarily hiring people because of the promise of AI are now going to start hiring people because they're going to realize that the promise of AI won't be met just due to the fervent pitch of the hype around the promise of AI.
Amen. Like that, I think, in my opinion, that I think there's shadow hiring going on right now, right? In anticipation of that.
Yeah.
Ha. All right. In other news, like Sam, you brought up something earlier in our prep session. Care to share?
We spoke a lot.
Well, in regards to like what Google is doing with the IDE.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm always experimenting with these different offerings. So like I've played around with Kiro from Amazon. Google offered their own IDE called Anti-Gravity, which is interesting. I'm actually a subscriber to the Google Developer Program, which is like $19 a month, I think, $19 to $25 a month. I can't remember exactly. So my usage of Anti-Gravity in terms of the access to the models I have is based on that program. They offer Opus 4.5, Sonnet 4.5. They also offer, Google Gemini 3.0 Flash and Pro and whatnot. And I've been using them quite a bit to augment my usage of Claude Code. Because I used to do the $200 a month plan. Now I'm on the $20 plan. And I also use GLM 4.7, which has really gotten a lot better. Enough so where it's sort of like my donkey, so to speak, because it does a lot of work, and I run multiple agents using GLM 4.7. And I also use Windsurf because I'm grandfathered into it. I think I pay like $10 a month.
Oh, you got the sweet deal.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, I pay another $10 to get 250 extra credits and whatnot. So, but yeah, getting back to Google Anti-Gravity, I mean, it's just like VS Code, but just with these models on the side, somewhat analogous to like Windsurf. I think it's just a slightly different version in terms of user experience, because they have an agentic what do you call it, UI, in addition to the regular VS Code UI and whatnot. So it's not bad. I just, I wish the rate limiting was a little bit, the rate I could use it was a little bit higher.
Yeah.
That's my only beef with it.
Man. All right, so the IDE wars, man. All right, so Cursor is starting to lead the charge. You got VS Code, got Cursor.
Yeah.
I love IDEs, but I can't. I'm having a hard time being married to one because just my experience, like what you just described. Even though these IDEs are fantastic, it's just hard for me to like. I just like to go anywhere I want to go, like in the terminal, right?
Yes.
I use VS Code for sure. I use Cursor, but I just can't see myself getting another subscription. Like I'm like, bro, you guys are subscribing me to death.
Yes, it's almost like like when the promise of like internet over the TV over the internet, right? And you're like you're unbundled from cable, and now it's like my internet TV bill is as big, if not bigger, than cable, right?
Yes.
So
I cut
yeah,
the cord. Now I got all these streaming services. Like,
yeah, yeah, and it's I'm with you. I have, like I said, I'm using anti-gravity. I use Claude Code. I have I have a GLM wrapper around Claude Code that allows me to like use the Claude Code UI, but underneath it, it's using the GLM LLM. I also use Droid. Droid is good. I'm trying to think what else.
dude, you're doing it. All right. So because you're doing so much and so awesome, let's dive into your product, man. Because you built something really cool with all these tools, and I would love for people to understand like what was your thought process, right? Right, because people are gonna need your help, Sam.
We'll see.
They need your help, man.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I could share my screen. See how possible it is. Okay, let me.
And what's the name of this thing?
Oh, it's called bdaybonus.com. Let me see.
bdaybonus.com.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Yes, allow. Event. Okay. Sure.
Yeah, Sam is one of those special engineers that he can go anywhere. He's humble too.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not able to see the screen. Are you able to see it?
Yes.
All right, cool. So basically, this was a product that I built because I was in the middle of building another product, so to speak. So the idea being that I was building a product that allows businesses to compete for event bookings, right? And I needed a way to get people into that system, sort of like the top of the funnel part of that business, sort of like my go-to market strategy for that business. And one of the biggest categories is birthdays, right? Everyone has a birthday. Doesn't matter, everywhere in the world, birthdays are celebrated for the most part. So I said, well, let me create a birthday centric microsite that would just list all the free stuff that you get when you go out for your birthday. I know at Starbucks, you go there on your birthday, they're like, okay, you go order any sort of drink you want, right? And I took it to the next level by saying, well, if Starbucks is offering this, I'm sure other places are as well. But there wasn't a central point online that you could go to as a reference for these sorts of offerings. So I said, okay, let me just build this. So a lot of it is just going online and doing the research for this and whatnot. And you're able to go there. You could see the different deals. You have coffee and whatnot. You could even look for Starbucks. I think it should be here. So free drink or food. And you're able to see what you get offering wise. You even see locations and whatnot. So yeah, you could, like, I have, nearby locations or whatnot.
So how did you use AI to kind of put this together?
Oh, okay. So let me change. Let me see if I could pull this up. I'm gonna change. Let me see if I could. Okay, let me remove this. I am going to present. Let me see if I could do the screen. Stop sharing. Let me present share screen. Entire screen. Screen 2. Sure. Is it able? Are you able to see anything or?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, let me see. I was gonna actually. Let me share my uh GitHub. Just so that you're able to like see the actual code and whatnot. But in essence, I created this brief. I don't know why it's not showing up. Anyway, uh,
Is it giving like an error or something?
it's not even giving an error. It's just saying, okay, and it says, okay, I'm going to share your screen, and it doesn't offer any prompts. Let
All right,
me
I'll remove you
refresh
from
my.
the I'll remove you from the
All right.
stage and add you back and see if that working through some technical difficulties. All right. No, it didn't do it.
Okay, let me see. Still no. Me.
All right, now we have resolved the technical issues, and here we go.
Yeah. So basically, it starts with a a simple, brief markdown file describing what it is that I'm seeking to do, and then I'm able to
So
then
what I'm hearing is you
yeah
started with the problem or the idea that you're trying to accomplish first,
yes
and you wrote it
yes
down
yes
for the
yes you
audience
definitely
listening.
have to, because the way I think of it is sort of like, in order for the agent to understand the problem it's trying to solve, you should give it enough context where uh, if it's going to guess, it needs to guess intelligently. Like your agent, you want the sort of actions your agent to take, even if it's not 100% what you want it closer to what it is that you want by giving it enough context for it to make smart decisions. All right. And being that I'm sort of like, although I'm not loyal to any particular model, I have a few markdown files. So you see, I have agents.md, Claude MD, Gemini MD, but most of my stuff are in agents MD, and I basically have my other markdown files referred to agents.md. All right. And
So how
there's
do you
a
get around? How do you make sure that not get around, but there's some syntactical sugar that each model kind of understands. How do you play with that, or do you even care about that?
at this point I don't.
Okay.
The when we were working on the project together, we were very Claude centric, and Claude really loves XML. But as the other models have gotten better, I don't necessarily feel the need to make things so Claude centric and whatnot.
Yes.
So here again, I have it in agents.md, and it refers to the brief. So that way, it has, being that it pulls in agents.md for every prompt, I needed to know that, okay, you want to understand the product, here's a link to it. And also, for the last, I would say, for the last month or so, I've been using this thing called Beads. I'm not sure how familiar you are with it. But basically, this guy, Steve Yagi, who wrote the book on vibe coding, he built this tool that allows agents to when it sees a problem for it to document it. When it's you could actually create like GitHub like issues for the agents to read and follow and work on and whatnot, and actually build out a series of issues or tasks that are all like dependent on a variety of issues. They could even have like child parent relationships and whatnot. So those Beads has been really good with regards to keeping my agents on task.
So for those that are unfamiliar, like with the various coding agents, what's the importance of like the Claude MD, Gemini MD, and the Agents MD? What value does that bring?
Well, Claude MD is, the markdown file that Anthropic models look for, and Gemini, same with regards to Google Gemini's world-class models and whatnot. Agents that MD is used by, I would say, like OpenAI's Codex and whatnot, and lots of other large language models that aren't part of, that aren't named Claude or Gemini. They all fall in line with regards to Agents MD.
And you mentioned something that I think is very important for people to understand is this is context that follows each prompt that you make in this particular repo. So if you set this context, then the agent, whatever agent that you're working with, will have context, right? Structure,
Exactly.
dependencies. So you don't have to restate it every time you work with a repo, right? Which could benefit the team, like in a team environment.
Exactly. And in my agents .md file, I have the product description, but also I need, like, this is so key for my agents to stay on task, like issue tracking, the beads thing and whatnot. And I also have ways for it to like run tests, lint. I have my own like special Docker harness, being that there's a very particular way in which I want things run. Migration, what do you call it? Front end packages, how to run them. I use PNPM, which I feel is a bit better. Also, I have access. I give it links to the architecture overview, security, conventions and patterns and whatnot. And then, I do a lot of like visual testing. So I can tell it, hey, check out, staging. There's this problem that I'm having, and it will know what I'm talking about. I mean, that's really it for my agents.md file, the context for the agents.
So without going into any code, like this, like what Sam just presented is gold. So the reason why is because you can, like, AI is non-deterministic, right? We can make it deterministic with scripts and things of that nature, but to reduce the amount of hallucination, what Sam created is like, should be a way, right? I don't know if it's the way. It should be the way. We probably should call it the way, but it is a way to keep these agents at least on the rails to understand what you're trying to accomplish. Then you can go into specs, right? Spec a feature, you can spec out the infrastructure, CI/CD. However, all of it can use this agents.md to keep the same context in regards to like what you're trying to accomplish. What are the dependencies? So you don't have this drift. I would say the old world, which was a year ago, I guess. Like, we had to do this mentally, right? We would document these things. All right, someone would say we need to do something. We would document it.
Yeah.
And we go implement. But in the implementation drifts from the documentation. Here, you can keep it all in line.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too is, you also have to remember that this is the context at the very beginning. And as you put more and more things into the context window, less, it doesn't place as much importance on these things, although it's there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to occasionally restart. So one of the things that I use quite a bit, I hope you don't mind me sharing this, AD. I have a create handoff command that captures the context of what we were just working on. It like understands, okay, this was the goal of the work that we were just doing, right? And I only call this when I'm like around 40 to 20% of my context is left. So it'll create this markdown file that I will then reload using resume handoff. That loads it up.
For the folks at home, like what is a command? What does that mean?
Oh, okay. In Claude Code, there's these custom / commands, which is basically a shorthand for injecting a set of instructions around around a certain context or alongside with some arguments. So I could call /handoff in my Claude Code terminal UI, right? I could do /create handoff, and it will generate a file, and then I clear my session, and then I started with /resume handoff, and then the actual path to the file. So that way it's able to like pick up the work it was doing before, because a lot of your work with an agent is one of it exploring the code base, it finding things that aren't necessarily relevant to the task at hand, and those things don't get purged from your context.
Yes, that is. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, yes, I was working with a client, and they did this manually, right? They would go through just like you described, but then they would create an issue as they go along. Versus, you know how we are as engineers. Oh, I see a problem. Oh, I can just throw it into this. I can throw it in real quick, right? But to you, what I like about what you're doing is very like, it's pragmatic, right? It's pragmatism built into it, where you can stay focused on the task at hand and then just shoot off, and you can deal with the other thing later. I love that.
Yeah. And one of the things that helps me a great deal is the whole explore, plan, execute process, right? Where the first, if it's a big problem that I'm looking to address, right? Like, for example, I want to add site maps to B-Day bonus. I could then, I could then say, hey, explore the code base to see what tools we have available to solve this problem, right? And that's going to fill up a good portion of your context window, right? So, and while it's doing the research, I'm telling it, okay, find me the lines and the columns of the file that are relevant to the problem that we're trying to solve, right? And then it will create a document, and then I feed that document to another prompt whose job it is to create a plan using that. So now you don't have all this irrelevant information that came from the research and exploration phase.
Mm-hmm.
You're having that, a very small artifact that you're feeding into the create plan Claude custom command, and it's using that to create an actual plan. Like, okay, here's where we're going to change the code. Here are the commands that need to be run, so forth and so on. And it allows me to review those things, so that way, when it's time to implement the plan, it goes as well as it can go, assuming that you have this agent who many would treat as a know-it-all junior engineer, you have it executed, and then you actually like verify, like, okay, this is how it's supposed to work.
So let me ask you this: like, are you like the beauty of this is you can use it locally and in CI/CD pipelines. Like, are you doing that?
I'm doing with CI/CD is I'm having it do code coverage stuff, right?
Hmm.
Right now my code coverage is 50%. It's not as high as I would like, but I'm using Go and I'm using um, a TypeScript, TypeScript for the front end and Golang for the back end. And in Go, I'm using SQL C, which essentially generates boilerplate SQL code that it uses to like fetch queries,
Hmm.
from Postgres, and it works fine. But I'm also using CI/CD to like do all my deployments. So I deploy to staging. I'm using DigitalOcean and Cloudflare for this application. So the first part is we run tests, and then we run the deployment to what do you call it? DigitalOcean. And DigitalOcean, it has its own way of deploying things, and you have to, you might have a database migration. You might need it to generate artifacts and whatnot. And then you have Cloudflare, which allows you to, generate these, these files that you store in a bucket, and it points the what do you call it, the DNS to the right bucket, and you're now suddenly able to serve the whole world.
So what is like what do you want to impart on like just people in general, and then how do people contact you and bring you on so you can do this amazing work at their location?
Okay. I'm on LinkedIn. My name, I'm sure AD can add it in. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not really big on social media aside of that. But I my hope is that people that want to use AI play with it enough to be comfortable and experiment with it, and not fear damaging things, right? Like there's so much you can do. And what I like to say about AI is, whatever competency you have right now, AI will just expand that circle of competency um, wider, right? Hold on one second. I disconnected. It will expand that circle of competency wider. I'm not a front end engineer in the sense like having a good eye for like what good design is. Like I have an idea, but like not to the extent that people who do this for a living do. So I lean on AI to offer me options with regards to things that are more suited to my taste. That's a lot better than what I could do on my own.
Yes, yes. Oh man, I love that. Like it resonates because I feel the same way. Like it's taken me. I've had all these. I'm 40 something, and I've had all these ideas for 40 something years that I could not get out, and now I feel like I can just. I wake up and I just like I just get it out, right, and I just put it somewhere, and then I can come back to it. But I think now like we can act upon it like pretty relatively, not say easily, but given with our experience as engineers, like we can make things happen that we couldn't before.
Yeah.
Um, and this is just not engineering, right? It's from business concepts to testing to marketing to writing to creating video, all of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I'm not a big writer, but I can write now, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge business person, but I can run a business now,
Yeah.
right? That's profound.
Yeah.
And I hope that people that are watching can the idea that everyone has an idea. now let's take your idea and let's just get it out. In the past, we would brainstorm, right?
Mhm.
Let's just brainstorm. Let's just get the ideas on the wall.
Yeah.
Now you can do that with a model,
Yeah.
right? And you can get somewhere. So that being said, I appreciate you, Sam, right, for all that you're doing and all you will do coming up. And it was important for me to make sure that you were the first interview.
I appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? So everyone, please, I got his email under his name, next to his name, but please reach out, my boy. We're gonna do some great things. More is gonna come out of this, Sam. So
Yeah.
I'm speaking into existence where the ideas that we've had in the past, we're gonna be able to act upon it in a different way.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be able to make it happen, bro. So that being said, everyone who's listening, again, reach out to Sam, connect with me, Steel River, connect with Steel River,
Absolutely.
steelriver.info, LinkedIn, YouTube, like, subscribe, share this video, right? Bring more people to the table and let's just learn. Let's just keep creating, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you'll be shocked and amazed at what you can do with this tool. I think I shared with you, AD, this story of me using Claude Code to remove, like I have this MacBook Pro that I've had since, I would say, December 2018, and Claude Code, I'm like, okay, let me see how far I could push it. I was able to get it to remove a lot of old stuff from my computer, so much so that my computer's life has been extended by at least 2-3 years.
Wow. And in the past, you would just have to buy a new machine, like the whole spiel, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's cool.
So
great times.
Sam, you know what? I gotta give another one on that one, man. This was like
That's all good, man. It's all good. I'm just happy to, I'm here. I'm just happy to, be a part of your journey, AD, your journey and learning. We met 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
At CNN. So it's just like, little conversations here and there, and just over the years, just keeping in touch and talking and whatnot. And, I'm just so happy that you took the AI thing and you just shot off like a rocket,
Trying to make it happen, brother.
Yeah.
Trying to make it happen. You know what? We are going to make this happen. And we ain't trying nothing. We doing it.
Amen.
Nice. All right. With that being said, again, appreciate it. Thank you, Sam. And we will see you at the next update.
Awesome.